Zola Levitt presents with Dr. Jeffrey Seif and Sandra Levitt. As dark clouds ominously loom over the horizon, radical Muslims charge the atmosphere with brazen disregard. As the sun sets over Christian Europe, sleeping Christians need to wake up. Non-Christians need to get up, and moderate Muslims need to rise up. Bad Moon Rising.
Hearty shalom to all of you. Jeffrey Seif here with my friend Sandra Levitt.
Shalom. Welcome back to Bad Moon Rising. I have an interesting interview today, and I'm really excited to talk to Brigitte.
Yes, and she's a woman. The bad moon once rose over Lebanon, and Brigitte tells the story. This woman is lauded all over the country. She's commended by former CIA directors, by big staff generals in the military. This is a lady in the know, and I want you to know that I support her, as do you, Sandra.
I'm excited to talk to her. She really has some things to say.
This book, Because They Hate, really gets into it.
Oh, yeah. I took it on the plane with me, and I had it on my carry-on. I thought, I wonder if people are going to wonder why I'm reading all these things, but she's terrific.
Expert testimony as Sandra Levitt sits down and talks with Brigitte Gabriel, a victim of Islamic terrorism.
Brigitte, it is my honor to have you here today. I read your book. I was amazed that anyone could go through as much as you've been through and come out on the other side. I really am in awe of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I am.
You do what you have to do to survive, and when there's a purpose for your life and God is watching after you,
amen,
you will survive.
You're raised a Christian. Your parents were older when you were born, but you were raised in Lebanon, and a Lebanese Christian is what you are.
Yes, many people do not realize that Lebanon used to be the only majority Christian country in the Middle East. When people look at the Middle East now, they think it's all Muslims, all Arabs are Muslims. It's not true. Lebanon is very much a republic like the United States of America. It was the only Arabic democracy in the Middle East. We were fair, we were open-minded, we were tolerant, we were multicultural, we prided ourselves in our multiculturalism.
And I remember saying Beirut, the Paris of the Middle East. So it had to be something fabulous to see.
Right. Because of the Judeo-Christian values and because of the majority Christians in Lebanon, when we got our independence from France, we were good in business. We focused on growing the economy. In a very short period of time, Lebanon became Paris of the Middle East, the banking capital of the Middle East.
That's right.
All the Arab royals and the sheikhs used to come from the Arabic countries to Lebanon to party and live the good life and vacation with their families because my country offered them what their countries forbid. We had the best universities in the Middle East. A lot of the Muslim students used to come from all around the Arabic world to study in our university. They graduated and worked in our economy because we had the best economy, even though we didn't have any oil.
And then what happened?
And then, as the Muslims became the majority, as they grew in numbers simply because of their birth rates, and because of our lack of birth rate. In other words, we Christians got married until one spouse, until death do us part. We don't have many children. The Muslims are allowed to marry up to 4 wives at a time, not in a lifetime.
I thought that was a fallacy. See, we hear different stories everywhere. No, they really just take one wife, and we really are like you all. And
nonsense. The most famous Muslim in the world today, Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden is 1 out of 53 children.
That's right.
He himself has 27 children. Between him and his father, they have produced 80 children. I guarantee you these children were not produced by only 2 women.
Right, you're right.
So they take multiple wives. They have a lot of children out of every wife. But what really tipped the scale in Lebanon was the influx of the Palestinians out of Jordan into Lebanon. And Lebanon was the only country in the Middle East to accept the 3rd wave of Palestinian refugees. Because of our open-heartedness and open-mindedness, while their Muslim Arabic brethren did not want to have anything to do with them,
threw them out of Jordan. Threw them out of Jordan. Arafat tried to take over Jordan, and King Hussein threw him out of there. They had no place to go. In fact, Arafat left Jordan dressed as a woman. It's how he got out of Jordan.
And what Yasser Arafat tried to do in Lebanon is basically create a base from which to fight Israel, kill the Jews and throw them into the sea. Something he tried to do in Jordan but failed because of the dictatorship of the king. However, he was able to use our democracy, our open-mindedness, our fair and tolerance and lack of judgment because of our Judeo-Christian values and backgrounds. He was able to use all that to topple our democracy, and he succeeded.
Yes, he did. And you suffered, I believe I read, you stayed in a bunker, underneath in a bunker for 7 years.
For 7 years. My life changed in 1975. That's when my 9/11 happened to me. That's when the Muslims bombed my home, bringing it down and burying me under the rubble wounded as the perpetrators shouted, Allahu Akbar. My only crime was that I was a Christian living in a Christian town. I left the hospital. And while I was in the hospital, I would ask my father, why did they do this to us? You know, here I'm laying as a 10-year-old child with needles in each arm, blood bag on one side, IV in another. And I would ask them, why did they do this to us? And my father would tell me, because we are Christians, the Muslims consider us infidels and they want to kill us. So I learned since I was 10 years old that my only crime is that I was a Christian born into the Christian faith. I ended up living in a bomb shelter for 7 years, from age 10 to age 17. No electricity, no water, and very little food. At age 13 years old, I remember dressing in my burial clothes, knowing that I'm going to be slaughtered that night, because we had heard, we were warned that they're coming to slaughter us that night, because I wanted to look pretty when I'm dead, knowing that there will be no one to bury me.
What must that feel like, to be a child and to know this might be my last night? You're not supposed to be there. You're supposed to be out planning a party or talking about the latest lipstick or the next guy coming down the road. You're not supposed to be thinking, I'm dying tonight.
It's very sad. It started for me when I was 10 years old, and as a child, that's when you're really trying to become cognizant of the world around you and what's happening. And living in a bomb shelter, when we started living in the bomb shelter, we thought, you know, it's only going to be a month, few weeks. Then America's going to come help the Christians. Then France and Britain are going to come help the Christians. But the Christian world did not understand and realize what was happening in Lebanon, which basically was the opening salvos of the worldwide Islamic war against the infidels. By the time I was 13, we had been living like this for 3 years. And I was living day to day.
Very little food.
Crawling under the bombs to gather grass so we can eat. Digging out grass and dandelions that grew around the bomb shelter. Crawling under snipers' bullets to a nearby spring just to get some water. And this was our existence. And, you know, when you're raised like this as a child, you don't know any different. You... waiting for death at age 13, I remember crying as I put my Sunday dress on, my best Easter dress, because I wanted to look pretty when I'm dead. And I was begging my mother, I don't want to die. I'm only 13 years old. And she just stood there crying, combing my long black hair and tying a white ribbon in my hair that matched the flowers in my dress. And there was nothing she could say to me.
Nothing. No.
Nothing.
How hopeless must that have felt?
Hopeless. And I remember sitting in the corner of our bomb shelter that night, holding each other's hand, my mother and my father and I, and saying the Lord's Prayer. And my parents said to me, if anything happens tonight, you just run towards Israel and you never look back. We lived a long life. You just saved your life. We will create a distraction and you just run and never look back. Thank God I didn't have to make the decision that night, because that's when Israel came into Lebanon physically and established a security zone to help the Christians survive. And this is how we survived for another 5 years until Israel came into Lebanon in 1982 and expelled the Palestinians out of Lebanon. Or at least a part of them.
Part of them, and now they are rearming and going again. It's an incredible story. And then you come to Israel because you're sick, and you have to pay a taxi driver in Lebanon, and you had a little bit of money, and you go, and the taxi driver takes almost all your money, and you get to the Israeli side. And I love the story because the Israeli taxi driver said, no, I'll take you to the hospital. It is all right. I'll take care of you.
The ambulance driver, he said, this is a free service from us to you. You don't have to pay me. And I use that example because it shows the difference in the values and character between the Arabic culture and the Israeli culture. Where in the Arabic culture, someone will take advantage of a little girl. Everybody is out for themselves. They have no compassion or any human compassion. While in Israel, at a time of war, the Israeli driver was able to help me.
A kid. Help a kid.
Help a kid.
Brigitte, we're going to be back in just a minute, and we're going to talk about what we can do to stop Islam. back after this.